It's mullein. And I'm breathing it in for my lungs. Why would you do that, Clay? It's smoke. Surely it's not good for your lungs. Well, a little bit is actually good. And that's probably enough. It's just about gone out almost. Just about. The stick of the mullein is dead straight. You'll find it growing in riverbeds, and it's great for a spindle for making primitive fire. See how straight that is? So that there is what you're going to use for your spindle for making fire. And you'll cut your end or grind your end on a stone if you don't have a knife, and you'll go into a piece of mahoe would be good. Mahoe is whitey wood, also known as, and that'll start your fire. Now this end here, you can coat this with pitch pine, or pine pitch is the right word. I always get it backwards because I'm a little bit backwards sometimes. You're going to make your pine pitch out of charcoal and the resin from a tree, and you'll dab it on that, and that's going to give you a great candle. Or you could do this, like that. Margaret made that from the Magic Cottage, and that will give you a fire that'll last for ages. That's all beeswax. We might burn that soon. Got a bit of a celebration coming up very soon, so we might burn that. So there's some things you can do with your spindle. Your best way with your spindle is to make, and I did this one as on my primitive challenge. I actually made this piece of wood, believe it or not. I know it looks like it's done with a drill, but it's actually not. It's split, and that's because I did it with a stone, and the stone split it. And that there is also a piece of whitey wood that I used in my spindle when I made it, and the other end also broke as well. That's when you're not using real tools. If you're just using bits of stone, you're never going to get things perfect. But that there goes into the spindle, and on the case of this one here, I had a rock, a sandstone I made. But you could also do it simply by hand, just like this. It's a lot harder than you think. So just ways of making fire, but also today I wanted to talk about mullein, the plant. The best place to look for it, you'll find it in the hills sometimes, but mostly you'll find it around lake fronts and riverbeds. It's a really, really helpful, very, very helpful plant. And I'm using it right now because I got an infection in my, well actually I got a virus about 3 months ago, and I've had a sore chest ever since. It hasn't quite left me. It's an underlying infection. Been to the doctor 3 times, and of course they send you home telling you're alright when you know you're not alright, and I can feel it. So each day I'm breathing a little bit of that, and I can feel it opening my lungs up. Now I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that people that have asthma use in their atomizer something that also is extracted from mullein, but don't quote me on that. The other thing you can do with it is you can make a tea. So you'll steep it for a long time and drink that, and also breathe in the vapour, a little bit like vaping, hence vapour, and you'll breathe your tea in and also drink it, and it helps open your lungs up a little bit. As far as the smoking goes, don't smoke too much, just a little bit. 3 or 4 tokes will do you. I don't recommend wiping your bum with it. I think you can. No, that's foxgloves I'm getting mixed up with. Don't wipe your bum with those. They'll set your ass on fire. This is mullein that Margaret, she's my nurse, also my very good friend, she dried that out. So that's what I'm using. And you can dry it out in an air fryer, you can put it in your oven. Colour stays almost the same, but that's completely dried out. And you can also do a very fine tobacco with it and smoke it as a cigarette, and also use it in a pipe if you want to. Cheap as chips, grows everywhere, mullein. Alright brothers and the occasional sister, this is another thing that my nurse made up, and I want to share it with you because it's something you can do yourself, and it's going to cost you virtually nothing. You just have to go to the side of the road if you know a place where they grow, or you go in the bush, in most places on the outside of the native bush, not right in the native bush but on the periphery, and some farmland you'll find it, and even in suburbia you'll find it growing, and that's hawthorn. Now the properties of hawthorn have been researched a lot, and it's really good for the heart. I mean really good, and it also helps you with your triglycerides, but it will also get your low lipid protein the very small low lipid protein down, the dangerous one. It'll help lower that. But there's no definitive studies, long-term studies on that particular one that I've been able to find. Maybe there's no money to be made for pharmaceutical companies to do those long-term studies, and maybe that's why they haven't been. Regardless of that, Hawthorn itself has a lot of good properties, and it will help you with vasodilation, opening up your blood vessels. So what you want to do is you want to cook it with the pips in it, and add some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of cinnamon, and this one here has also got black currants in there as well. And the black currants are also going to give you those bioflavonoids, or those vitamin C plus those antioxidants is what I meant to say. That's what I was looking for. It tastes rough. But I have it every day. So we're right behind my house right now, and I've got these two plants here because every day I have a little bit of them. This is stinging nettle. This is from the English variety, not the onga onga, which is the New Zealand native variety. It'll sting you just as good. Kawa kawa. The kawa kawa plant is native to New Zealand, and I grew this one particularly for the very purpose of using it as a kawa kawa tea. And ideally I take the leaves off that are damaged a little bit, like this one here, because I want to look after the plant, but I don't want to waste it, so I take the leaf off, and I'm going to put that in my pot here. There's one. This is a diuretic, or the fruit that comes from it is yellow, and that is a diuretic. You don't want to eat too many. One or two is enough, but you'll get the goodness. There's another leaf there that's quite damaged, so I'm going to take that off and put that in my tea. And there's one over here as well. So I'm tidying the plant up, but I'm also utilising it. I'd like to get a little bit more before I make my tea. And this plant has got some new growth. It's looking good actually. It's only in a pot. There's a leaf down here. It's a little bit tired. We'll take that one there off as well. Right, the stinging nettle. You can see what I've taken before. I use a pair of these because I'm not a tough bastard that just grabs it with his fingers. I know guys that do, but I actually like to not get stung by it, and that's it there. When you boil a stinging nettle, what it's going to do is it's going to make those stings harmless, those little bits there that actually will sting you. Now the reason I'm using stinging nettle tea is right now I'm trying to get my hemoglobin up. There's another one. So when you're taking your iron, what you want to do with it is you want to have some vitamin C for the uptake, because your body can't always take the iron in just by itself. So for that reason we're going to cook these up with some blueberries, and this is going to increase the uptake of the iron. It makes it more bioavailable to my body. Put a cup of water in there and just got the gas going. Going to put my blueberries on top, and we've got our kawa kawa in there as well. While it's boiling, there's a couple of things I want from my garden that also are high in iron, and you probably already guessed them by now. This is my raised bed down here. It's 30 metres long. Stuart Webb, one of my patrons, helped me build this. I did the posts myself, he did some of the framing, and Damo helped a little bit too. So I've got this silver beet here. It's actually it almost looks like it's a red silver beet. I thought at first of all that it wasn't silver beet, and I thought it was beetroot, but it is actually apparently a silver beet, although I'm a wee bit sceptical. So if you think it's not and you think it's beetroot, let me know. Julie said to me, no, that's silver beet. I said, oh, I thought it was beetroot because it's red, and no, I think she's right. I don't like it like that raw, it's too bitter. Right, I do want that, and the other thing I want, of course, is spinach. Now you've got to be careful eating too much of this stuff, because too much can give you kidney stones. So you want to go steady on it. I'm just taking one leaf of that. There's plenty of iron. Everything sort of, you want to be regular, you don't want it too much, and I'm careful about that, because I've been known to overdo it and fuck myself up sometimes. Here's another interesting thing that one of my patrons told me. This is me kumara growing here. Kumara, and because I call it kumara, I'm still educating myself. The leaves of the kumara are very high in vitamin K. And vitamin K is really important for the blood. It's actually what we use also to coagulate so we don't bleed out. Of course, if we coagulate too much, we can also have a thrombotic episode where it becomes a stroke. It's too thick. And some people take blood thinners to get the opposite effect. But our blood does clot for a reason. It's to stop us from bleeding out, and that's why haemophiliacs have to also be careful, because their blood's the opposite, it's too thin. So it's all about balance. You can't go too wrong having a bit of vitamin K in your diet, that's for sure. Vitamin K2, which is really important to get, very hard to get. I get mine from natto beans, natto kainase in the beans. I'm pretty sure it's vitamin K2, and it's one of those things that has a very good symbiotic relationship with vitamin D. The two together help you do all sorts of things, keeping you well, and that's just another plant. It comes from soybean, which has been put into a very particular type of, they grow it in this bacteria, and I don't know what it's called, and I'm not even going to try to make it myself. I think it's going to be done in a very, very special environment, because it's one of those things, if you stuffed it up, it could be quite crap. That's my natto kainase there. It's a sticky bean, or at least my natto beans that contain natto kainase. More to the point, you can see how it's sticky. It has these long strands that go forever. They keep on going forever and ever. But this is something which I have every day. The idea is that it pulls the calcium out of the coronary arteries where you don't want it and puts it in the bones. That's not the right way to eat it, by the way. There is a special way to prepare it and eat it, and that wasn't it. There goes my silver beet and my spinach. And remember, with your silver beet and all those plants, that the stalk has just as much nutritional value as the leaf. And some people even think it has more, it holds more, but I definitely know it has as much. I used to just, when I was doing kale, throw my stalks out, and I realised I was wasting good food all that time. She's been topped up with water twice, because I really want to get the iron to come out. Right, sieve on the cup, pour that in, get the good stuff straight in there. Nice. Of course, I'm going to eat everything that's in the sieve as well. That is my tea, and that's my leftover for chewing on. That stuff there makes this stuff here quite palatable. I'll plonk that on there. It also helps you get the nitrogen out of the leaves, and the nitrogen will turn into a nitrite as we process that, which is really good for us, really good for our blood. Helps us produce that beautiful nitric oxide, which helps the vasodilation, which is so important. Surprisingly good. Stinging nettle, spinach. I wouldn't have thought that would taste good at all, actually. The blueberries sweeten it up. The tang of the balsamic vinegar. So that there's it. An iron hit. And there's our tea, which I imagine is going to be similar. Now remember that this is also a diuretic, stinging nettle. If you research stinging nettle, you'll find out it's a superfood. It's sort of like an unsung hero, a little bit like watercress. We don't hear a lot about watercress, but watercress is probably one of the best foods in the world. But you don't hear a lot about it. You hear it using boil-ups, and a lot of those boil-ups, the water gets thrown out, and so the nutritional value gets thrown out. But here we're just changing it by cooking it. A lot of people talk about plants as having toxins and oxalates and anti-nutrients and arsenic, and oh look, the list goes on and on. There's 6 different things that they really can cause us ill health, particularly the lectins. But for years and years we've been eating plants, and the thing is, you just got to know how to process it. In the case of this here, we've processed it in a way that will actually bring out the goodness. Oh, that tastes good. You can really taste the iron in it. Literally, it's got a real strong. That's what I need right now because my hemoglobin is too low. Anyway, that was just a video for you guys on plants that I find useful. And if you have any new plants to add to this and things that we don't talk about a lot, let us know, and we'll do some examination. We'll do some due diligence. We'll do some ideas, and maybe come up with something completely new that you haven't even heard of before or read about, found on the internet, because there's always something new to learn. There'll be one of you guys out there watching this right now that will know something about a plant here in New Zealand that we just don't see used anymore. I mean, it was just like one of my patrons telling me that I could use this leaf here. I just thought it was a waste leaf. It looks like what Adam would cover over his old fella. He'd have to have a pretty small old fella to cover that, wouldn't he? Not very big. Yeah. So if you do know of any plants like that, let us know. Anyway, go steady, and I'll see you next video. See you later. Gonna cheer to this. It's delicious. Tastes really nice.